Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. I'm Abby, and joining me is my co-host Ashley, and we are here to take you on an exciting journey through J.R.R. Tolkien's incredible world, making it fun and easy to dive into. So whether you are a Tolkien aficionado or just curious about Middle-earth, this is a podcast for you.
This season, we're exploring the unfinished tales. If you're already familiar with these stories, awesome, congratulations. But get ready to uncover fascinating details and geek out over the rich lore behind them.
And if you haven't read the Unfinished Tales yet, like me, no worries. If you've loved The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, this is your chance to discover even more of Tolkien's universe with us. We promise engaging discussions and lots of fun as we dive into these lesser-known gems.
That's a pinky promise. So whether you're folding laundry, on a road trip, or just relaxing at home, tune in and join us for an epic journey through Tolkien's unfinished tales. Let's go!
Let's go! So, I was just telling Ashley, I was a little late coming to recording today because I had to go buy a trash can. And then we went,
that adult life.
We went off on this rant, and she is with me on this, that it's a conspiracy theory that trash cans hold trash. They hold gross things. They hold garbage. They hold my son's diapers. Stuff I don't want in my house. You know what I mean? Why are they $100 to buy a trash can?
Why are they made of one of the substances that absorbs smell the most? I feel like plastic has that, it just sticks in the plastic itself.
Mine is metal, like it has like a finish of like a stove or like a fridge or something, the metal trash cans. So I've got
stainless steel
fingerprints and stains and all that stuff. I'm like, I have to wash my trash can. I hate this. But also, why are they $100? They're not holding things of importance. It's holding garbage. And then Ashley made the point of, why are garbage bags so expensive when you're literally throwing them away?
Yeah. These are the questions we have. We have almost self-driving cars at this point. We have AI functions on our computers that can basically write us a whole story, write a song. Why don't we have better trash cans technology?
Come on. I know. It's crazy. Anyway, so we're crazy. Adults.
So, yeah, these are the questions that haunt us as adults.
Problems.
Yes.
Anyway. So that was my morning.
Yeah. You also had a fun weekend. You did some shopping for me, which I appreciated very much.
Yes. So I think we talked about this last time, but I did get to go see our friend Kip at Comic-Con. And I bought Ashley, well, she bought it, but I was the middleman.
Which I appreciated.
Buying some prints from our friend Kip. And
I'm so excited.
She bought
Argonath with a really cool sunset thing happening.
And she also got a Eowyn print where she's fighting the Witch King, right? It's that and that one. So that's exciting. I'm trying to figure out a way to send it to you because it's just like prints, and I fear for them in the mail. So I'm trying to figure out how to get them to you.
I'll just wait till you come up next, I suppose.
I know.
If you haven't checked out Kip Rasmussen's art, or if you don't know who we're talking about, he's literally Costco famous, y'all. Like, if you were to go to Costco, I mean, it's probably not there right now because that's how Costco works. It's just one of those hit or miss things. But the box that the Tolkien books come in that has the cool Colossus, I think it's called, from Numenor. That's Kip Rasmussen. He is amazing and so talented and one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I know. He was pretty sweet. I saw him randomly when we were in Comic-Con, and he goes, I'm like, I know you don't know who I am because I didn't have my camera on when I was talking to you when we were doing the interview, but I'm Abby and I'm part of the Sisters of the Shire. And he goes, oh my goodness. And he like brings his wife over and he's like, may I call you a friend? This is my friend. I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. So I'll take a picture of them and post them on our Instagram of all the fun stuff that Ashley got from Kit. So anyway, speaking of Middle Earth and beautiful things.
Middle Earth, how much do you remember of last week?
So I remember ending it on that. Oh no, we got to meet a new character, which I was so like. There's still new ones being introduced. Like I'm losing count. But she was so cool. Like she was like this elf lady that kind of helped be that mother figure, like helper, kind of like guiding him through life and teaching him all the important lessons and how to survive, I think, out in the wilderness and like how to be a good person. When he was a little kid, and her name is
Nellas.
I was going to say Nell, like the movie Nell.
I always think of Nilla wafers for some reason for me. So
Nell from the movie Nell. And then he had to grow up and be a moody teenager and leave her behind. And I'm so sad for her because I could totally see her being like the lady who never, I know this is like speculation. I don't know. Maybe she didn't have kids of her own. Maybe she didn't have a family. And maybe she like
going that way. Okay.
And maybe she was like, I get to help raise this boy and I'm so excited. And then he left her. And he was like, I don't need you anymore. I'm grown up. I don't need this to be coddled
baby sad.
Baby sad and all that stuff. And I'm like,
because it's important to note. Yeah, it's important to note that the one thing about Nellas that's very important about her is that she is an outdoor girl and she does not like to be in houses of stone or palaces of stone. She does not like having a roof over her head. So when
she's an outdoor cat.
Yeah. So when Turin decided that, I need to start following my father and my ancestors' footsteps and become a hero, I have to do that from inside the castle or the palace because that's where all the things are for some reason. I don't know. And then Nellis was like, but I don't go inside and I stay out here. Okay. I guess that's cool.
Oh, don't. It's going to make me so sad.
Yeah. So you went motherless child. I went like hard to make friends because I don't like going inside because I'm different. I thought more that route.
And that would probably mean she doesn't have a family. Get it? It all goes together.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
So she was a good lady and she helped him grow up and be like self-sufficient, I guess, like in the wilderness.
Yeah.
But then he grew up to be a moody teenager.
Fancy.
Oh, yes. She taught him how to speak fancy. And then he became a hormonal, moody teenager who said, I don't need any of you to help me. I'm good enough. I am strong enough. I know more than all of you, which is very on brand for teenagers sometimes.
Yeah.
And didn't he like talk really mean to Thingol and Melian? Like, wasn't he like?
So back up here for like a quick second. So Nellis does get replaced by Beleg. Like maybe he doesn't need the gentle, nurturing touch. Now he needs the man's man that can, show him how to fight and, be more the the physical, friend. Sorry, that sounds really weird, but you know exactly what I mean. Let's do less arts and crafts and do more killing.
That sounds helpful.
Am I wrong?
I know, but she's probably not like girly. She was probably a tough lady too. She just probably nurtured him in a way that he needed as a little kid.
Okay, but Turin doesn't want to play with the Duplo Legos anymore. He wants to play like battle bots, and he wants to like have a fake sword and have a BB gun and go out in the woods and shoot a squirrel or something. I don't know. Okay, I have brothers, but they weren't like this.
It's like that. There's a TikTok where he's like, I feel the masculinity running through me.
Yes.
I need a lightsaber.
Yes. While all that was happening, in the meantime, things were going back and forth between Turin and his mother back in Dor-lomin. Thanks to Thingol, he kind of helped these messages go back and forth, but then all of a sudden the messages stopped. And that is when Turin kind of freaks out a little bit. He's 17 now. I'm sure those hormones are raging, and he's got to do something. He's got to prove himself to be a man, and he's worried about his sister, and he's worried about his mom. And so he goes up to Thingol and he's like, I need a weapon. I want my cool dragon helm for myself, please. And I need some armor because I am going to go back home and save my mother all by myself. And Thingol was like, hold on there, kiddo. Do you have to, though? I feel like you could do some training first. I mean, do you even know how to use that sword? Do you even, know how to put on your own armor? So why don't you start with some baby steps and become a kind of a border guard for, just kind of, get your bearings, just learn some things there. And he's like, but I want to fight for my people. And Thingol's like, well, if you do that, you're going to do it by yourself because I don't want any more of my people to die because they would. Turin and his only the teenage pride could do. He's like, well, Baron did some pretty cool things and he was a man. And Melian's like, hold up, sir. Melian did most of that. And Baron was like the pretty sidekick. So there.
No, Luthien. Luthien did most of that. Luthien.
Oh, sorry. You know what I meant. Luthien did all the cool stuff because she was magic and she was my daughter and I'm amazing. So obviously she's amazing. Baron was just along for the ride. So Turin was kind of left with the choice of chancing it, going back to Dor-lomin all by himself to try and save his mother and sister, or to join the border guard and kind of learn some stuff. So that's kind of where I left you.
Yes. With, do you think the servants that are in the throne room are like, this is awkward?
How is he gonna leave this? Okay. Yeah. Well, thank goodness Turin did see some sense. Very rare in a teenager, but he didn't go on a one-man suicide mission. Instead, he did put on his dragon helm, which apparently fits him now. He's only 17, and somehow this dragon helm, which doesn't fit most people, fits him now.
What if it has the magic of like
the ring?
Yeah. The ring where it shrinks to like.
But then wouldn't it have fit Menegroth?
I don't know.
Maybe he just didn't like it. He's like, that's tacky.
Yeah. It's not really my color.
Yeah. So Turin goes north to join the border guard with the elven warriors, quote, who there waged unceasing war upon the orcs and all servants and creatures of Morgoth. Now, let's look at a picture of what is north of Doriath, shall we?
So, Abby, let me get to it.
Yep. If you get to it. I only have one picture on there. So it's a little bit down from the thing. Do you see
Opening.
Okay. So the main thing you see above Doriath is a place called Nan Dungortheb, which is the Valley of Dreadful Death. Above that, you see a mountain range, which is Ered Gorgoroth, which is the Mountains of Terror. And then to the left there...
Lovely this time of year.
Yes. To the left of the mountains, there's this little, like, kind of peekaboo thing in between some mountain ranges, and that is called the Pass of Anak, which really doesn't have a translation, but as you can see, there is an opening in the mountains there, which Morgoth would actually frequently send his armies through to try and gain a foothold further south. So this is kind of a busy area, especially that pass there. Also, looking at this map, it is kind of heartbreaking to see how close they are to Gondolin. I'm not going to lie.
They are pretty close to Gondolin.
Yes. But that's a story for a different day. Now, you might wonder how Turin did as a border guard. You know, maybe he didn't really have a lot of practice at fighting as a child in Dor-lomin. I mean, maybe a little bit before his father left for war, but he was pretty young. He was like 7 or 8 when his father left. Or no, maybe even younger. 7 or 8 by the time he left Dor-lomin. So, and then after that, he was pretty much hidden away from the Easterlings so that they couldn't find him. So not a lot of time for training there. Beleg did train him a little bit in his youth now and then, but compared to others who might have had training since their childhood, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if Turin kind of was like, you hold the knife from this end, right? Stick him with the pointy end, to quote Game of Thrones. But in fact, he was actually an amazing fighter. Quote, thus, while yet scarcely out of his boyhood, his strength and courage were proved.
So
he just maybe needed a good montage song. You know, it was like a Mulan thing, make a man out of you thing happen.
Yes. Exactly. Mm-hmm. But would they be calling him man if it's like the elves that are doing it? Oh, you are a man, maybe. So I guess a man out of you.
Yeah. It still fits.
Yeah.
However, let's not forget this guy's cursed, so he's got to do something. There's got to be something a little bit wrong with him, right? And what is wrong is that he is extremely reckless. Turin and his brooding, he's just constantly thinking of the wrongs that have been done to his family by Morgoth and the Easterlings, and those thoughts caused him to be, quote, ever forward in deeds of daring, and he received many wounds by spear or arrow or the crooked blades of the orcs.
First of all, therapy probably would help a lot.
Yep.
But also, like, I keep coming back to things like this, but I can see, like, Tolkien in his life seeing a lot of young men who have lost a lot of things, like, in their life, and then acting out like that. You know, like, the ones that you see in, like, a pub or a bar, and then they, like, start fighting people for no reason because they're just like mad at everyone, or who ruin their marriage because they just, like, can't function or can't process their trauma or emotions in a healthy way, and they ruin things. Like, that is what's happening right now. But it's very real. Like, I've that's a very real thing that happens to a lot of people, or they see a lot of people go through that. So I feel like Tolkien has pulled a little bit of that from seeing his friends who are still young. Like, they were young when they went to war. Right. And coming home and not processing that very well of loss, or, you know, pain or injury and then taking it out in reckless ways because that's the only way that they feel like they can deal with it, which isn't healthy at all.
Yeah. So this would be like the soldier that volunteers for every suicide mission. This would be the soldier that, takes the risky, chances that maybe he shouldn't have, that could, get most people killed.
But, or doesn't listen to his like commander and just goes and does it. And you're like,
that is 100% this Turin. And, if you didn't know his backstory, you might think he was just, cocky or arrogant or prideful. But with Turin, it's more of this, traumatic, sad vengeance, this need for revenge for his people. I also wonder if he couldn't help but feel the need to prove himself as the only man in an elf army. Like, I could be as tough as you guys. I could totally be as tough.
Yeah, I could see that.
So eventually word began to spread, not about his amazing fighting skills or his almost foolhardy need for vengeance, but for that epic dragon helm he wore, which I'm sure wasn't easy to miss. I can just imagine it like, dude, did you see that guy take on 10 orcs at once? No, man, I was too distracted by this ginormous shiny helmet. It even had a dragon on it.
Whoa, it's got a dragon on it. Whoa.
Yeah. Quote, then many wondered, saying, can the spirit of Hador or of Galdor the Tall return from death? Or has Hurin of Hithlum escaped indeed from the pits of Angband? So interesting to note that... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, keep going.
Interesting to note that no one thought it could possibly be the son of Hurin. Like, maybe Dor-lomin was just so cut off from everyone that Turin was so well hidden after the war that no one even knew about him. So their first thought of who this could possibly be was more plausible of a dead person rising from the grave than Hurin having a son.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of...
I can just see it being like, maybe Hurin had a son. Oh, shut up, Gregory. You're dumb. Obviously, it is
it's a ghost.
Spirit of... What do you know, Gregory?
Duh. I mean, there's an other instance of someone's son being hidden and people not knowing who he was until later. So
yeah, that's true. So eventually, Turin became one of the best fighters in the elf army, second only to his friend and mentor, Beleg. And Beleg and Turin would often team up, and when they did, they would become basically an unstoppable force. Quote,
could it be like those cool montages of like fun action movies where it's like they're fighting back to back and it's like wee, and it like freeze frames like slow motion like punching an orc, and then the other guy's like stab like doing really slow motion like a bow and arrow, and they're back to back, and then it says Baron and Turin, Beleg and Turin. And it has like explosions in the back.
Yes.
Like very like 80s, 90s, like meow.
Okay, so do that, and then, quote, Beleg and Turin were companions in every peril and walked far and wide in the wild woods together. So you have that like epic scene, and then they just kind of like walk away all slow motion as they go into the woods.
And they high five.
Yeah.
And then they high five. And so, Beleg's hair is flying in the wind, and it's like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So 3 years of that epic scene, basically. That's all I can imagine. It's just that epic scene over and over again for 3 years.
And they're like, here they go again. The other like, here they go again. And then like
cue the music.
Boombox, and they like put it on. The Bluetooth isn't connecting. Oh no.
Oh no. So Turin is just getting better in his skills as a fighter, better as an experience as a warrior. He rarely does go back to Menegroth because, what teenage boy wants to have to be prim and proper in the palace when he can be gross and dirty in the woods killing orcs? I mean,
It's giving Merida vibes.
Right? Quote, and he cared no longer for his looks or his attire, but his hair was unkempt and his mail covered with a gray cloak stained with the weather.
Ew. Come on, man.
But I'm like, so he's a teenage boy? Like, I don't see the difference.
He's got basketball shorts maybe this underneath is just his armor.
Yes. Oh, 100% yes.
He's got basketball shorts underneath his armor. He has to be reminded to wear deodorant. Do elves just care
more about appearances? Like, was this really unusual compared to the other border guards? Like, they all look sleek and, proper, and there's Turin with, like, his hair in his eyes, and, it's all ruffled up in the back, all dirty.
He probably smells so bad.
So bad. And I'm totally thinking of my teenage nephews with this, too, with, like, the long hair and the eyes, and, oh, gosh.
We were at soccer, really quickly. We were at soccer, and Fox was playing on a middle school team, and there's a boy there that has like hair down to his shoulders, and the coach was so bugged by it because it was in his face like all the time. So she like over and took a scrunchie and like put his hair up in the scrunchie. It's like, you're dealing with it. I'm tired of you playing around with your hair. And he's like, okay. Like, so he on the top of his head for the rest of practice. And I was like, yes.
Amazing. Yes. Amazing. Also, have you heard that thing that more and more of the teenage boys of this generation are looking like llamas? I knew it looked familiar.
I can see it.
Yeah. Also,
so anyway, so we have a stinky boy, a stinky boy.
Yes. And not to make fun of Tolkien, but cloak stained with the weather. Odd way to put it. You can say his cloak looked weathered, and you would think of like it being dirty or like wearing thin or like fraying a little bit. But to be stained with the weather, like, you mean it's wet? Like,
does it like? Well, sometimes when I have stuff out here that has been rained on, it kind of leaves like a
bleach stain almost.
Yeah. Like it kind of like you can tell there's like been rain on it, but it's dry. And then also there's like mud on it or something.
Right.
Know.
Yeah.
Blood.
It just was a funny term. Cloak stained with the weather. Like it's got lightning bolts on it. Like,
whoa.
Anyways, a time came where this dirty, now 20-year-old almost man, he had no other choice. He had to go into Menegroth. Quote, desiring rest and needing smithwork for the repair of his arms.
Menegroth is, sorry, you'll have to remind me what things are.
Because they keep using different words for the same place. So Doriath is the country, is the county. Menegroth is the palace.
Thingol and
Thingol and Melian are. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. You're probably not the only one that's thinking that. And whenever I type it, I'm like, should I just put Doriath? Would that make more sense? What would make more sense?
How about I ask, and then it'll help our listeners.
Yes.
Because it'll also help me.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, he has to call, the things like 12 different names for the same thing.
I am but a bear of very little brain. I will get there.
So Turin has to get repair of his arms. And I know that Tolkien meant his weapons or his armor, but for like a split second, I'm just imagining Turin coming to the Elves of Menegroth with his arms like backwards or something like, I don't know what happened. Like, fix it. Like,
just one of them's off. He's like holding it. He's like, oh man.
You gotta have repair of my arms again.
Yeah. It's like Woody. He has his own arm.
So anyways, my random thoughts aside, Turin's return to Menegroth was spontaneous. It wasn't planned. It wasn't announced. So Thingol didn't happen to be around at the time because, quote, for he was abroad in the greenwood with Melian, as was his delight at times in the high summer. Like, that's so romantic. Like, they're just going to go back to the same spot every year. Maybe that's where they first met and had their love bubble moment.
He's keeping the fire of their relationship alive. He is a good husband that way.
Mm-hmm. So Turin is in Menegroth, getting his sword or armor fixed. It's about time for dinner, so he heads to the hall to eat. And here we get to meet someone who was in the Silmarillion as well, but maybe gets a few more lines here and there because this is the Unfinished Tales version, and that is how Tolkien rolls. So this elf's name is Cyros, and he does not like Turin in the slightest. Since Turin was brought to Doriath, Cyros was jealous of King Thingol's immediate acceptance of Turin and how welcome he was made in Doriath, quote, with love and esteem. Turin is overall an outsider, and he's a man. And he was taken in as Thingol's foster son in high honor without a second thought, just like immediately upon meeting him.
Add him to the collection.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that Cyros is technically an outsider too. To put it as simply as possible, because the episode we did on the different races of elves in the beginning of time was lengthy and confusing, but to put it as simply as possible, his race of elves were called the Nandor, and they were one of the first offshoots of the Teleri elves that stayed in Middle-earth instead of going off to Valinor. They basically made their own clan of elves offshooting from the Teleri because, to put it very simply, they wanted to stop by a particular waterfall, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Eventually,
not go any farther. This is it.
Eventually, their leader died, and they decided they didn't want to fight any wars any longer. They just wanted to live in peace, and Thingol agreed to let them live within his lands. So they are within the Girdle of Melian in the Doriath country, but they don't necessarily live in Menegroth in the palace.
Okay, in the kingdom area.
Correct. It is also said that the Nandor were, quote, no friends to the Edain. Edain being...
Is Edain men?
The men,
no?
Yes, the men that were friends with the elves, not like the Easterlings or the Southlanders, as they're referred to in the Rings of Power show.
The men who were friends with the elves weren't friends with, these elves weren't friends with?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds kind of a jerk move.
Right? And why did they have this rift? No idea. And though it never mentions this, I have zero proof of this theory. But perhaps the Nandor elves weren't immediately accepted by the elves of Thingol. Maybe Cyros or his father's father had to work really hard to win the king's favor. And because
he's not handing it out for free very easily.
Right, yeah. Because Cyros does indeed have the esteem of the king. And while most of the Nandor elves lived mainly in the woods surrounding Menegroth, Cyros lives in Menegroth. Quote,
he got in. He's on the list.
He got in. Yeah. Quote, and he was proud, dealing haughtily with those who he deemed of lesser state and worth than himself.
Sheesh.
Yeah. So
he sounds like a great
interesting.
Guy. He sounds like a super chill hang.
Yeah. I wonder what he did to earn that esteem, and what about himself made him think he was better than everyone else. But there are just some people that, like I said, maybe it was hard for his family to climb, and so once he climbed to the top, he was wanting to kick everyone else on the way down. There's those people. They exist. They suck, but they exist. And here we have an interesting friendship form, united by their jealousy/hatred of men between Cyros and an elf whom we met back in the Silmarillion. I'm not sure if you remember a certain Daeron the Minstrel, aka, do you remember what we nicknamed him? Derek from the band.
Oh, that's right. Because I thought you said Derek, and I was like, yes. Derek. There's an elf named Derek, which is even funnier because that's your brother's name, and that makes me laugh even more.
Yes,
but that you said that they're friends because they both hated men, like jealousy and hatred of men. It reminds me of like what is it from Little Rascals? The woman haters, it's something woman haters club.
Yeah.
But I could just see them being like the man haters club, and they have little like meetings in a clubhouse.
Oh, it gets better. So pause on that thought for 1 second. If you don't remember why Daeron doesn't like men, to put it simply, he was madly in love with Luthien, and he basically lost her to that man Baron, despite all of his best efforts, despite him putting tattling on Luthien to her father, a bunch of stuff. So Daeron doesn't like men, Cyrus doesn't like men, and coincidentally, they're both skilled in song. They're both musically talented. So, I mean, obviously these two, they must have started a boy band, obviously, or an elf band.
Singing very emo songs about,
yes,
all their woes.
So hold on. So I have some song ideas of their hit songs. Okay.
And also, it was called the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
That's what it is.
But it could be the elf. I'm trying to, because elf man won't work, but it's like elf man haters club.
Yeah. Okay, so see, these are some of their hit songs on their first album release. Okay, are you ready?
Their EP.
Yeah. Was it his beard? Long hair is sexier than short.
Ew, what's in his beard?
2 hands are better than 1.
Also, does he ever shower?
We could have had eternity.
Yeah.
And then my other one was, what's so great about mortality?
Yes.
These are mainly Daeron to Luthien, obviously, but I was having fun with that.
With his lute, his lyre.
Yes.
His lyre and lute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting the minstrel from Monty Python that follows
Robin.
Yeah, but it's like that kind of singing, but it's like, why did she leave me?
Yes.
Why do men smell so bad?
Yes.
Stuff like that.
So to further enhance the hatred that they had, this is one conversation between Cyrus and Daeron. Cyrus told him, quote, "Is it not strange that this land should be opened to yet another of this unhappy race? Did not the other do harm enough in Doriath?"
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, but also, he's got a point in some ways, just because unhappy race. I mean, Turin isn't the best example for the race of men in that aspect. Like, man, are all of them this grumpy and brooding?
You know, I gotta say, all the depictions we've heard, they don't live very glamorously luscious, lavish lives, you know?
Right.
So he's not too far wrong on that one.
Right. But this made me think, okay, who could Cyrus have met that maybe could have changed his mind about men? And I got it. I've got the perfect best friend for Cyrus that will be a man. I bet Cyrus would have loved Tor. Because he could even join their boy band with his harp playing. They could have skipped to the fields together and made each other flower crowns. I mean,
He's just stoked all the time.
Right?
Like, oh, you look amazing today. Today's going to be awesome.
Right? Oh, man. I have so many,
armor? Is that new armor? You are crushing it. You look amazing.
Oh man, I would have paid to have met, to see that friendship play out. Again, in my fan fiction thing that happens in my head, what would have happened to Middle Earth / Beleriand if Turin and Tor had been switched? So
there
many
would be
different
more happy things,
right?
But I also I remember who's the guy that walked with Tur? What's his name? The elf.
The guides that put him through the dark cavern thing? Because he didn't...
No, remember he was Tur's
tour guide. Yes. Oh, what is his name?
Veronway. I can see them like, he's like so happy, like Tur's like so happy, and he's like talking to everyone, or he's like running ahead on the trail, like, yeah, wee, and then like Veronway's
doing
like,
cartwheels.
Yeah. Veronway's like, yeah. And then like, so what's this guy's name?
Turin.
Cyros or whatever. And he's like, I can see their conversation. Veronway and Cyros, like, so where'd you get your human from? I found him. He's a rescue.
You mean he's not house trained? Definitely not.
Hey, get that out of your mouth. What do you have in your mouth? Come
on. Okay. So anyways, lots of reasons Cyros did not like Turin. Not any good ones necessarily, but, you know, as we have learned from the Silmarillion, not all elves are nice. Mm-hmm. Sad fact that we had to learn in the Silmarillion, but it's true. Quote, mm-hmm. Therefore, he, Cyros, looked askance, which is like suspicion or disapproval, on Turin and all that he did, saying what ill he could of it. But his words were cunning and his malice veiled.
Mm. So
he's one of those people that like would give you a compliment while insulting you.
Okay, you know what I'm getting? I know this is super specific, but you would know what I'm talking about. Some people out there might know what I'm talking about. In the
Devil
show,
Wears Prada is the first one.
Poldark.
Oh, yes. Cyros is 100%. What is his name? I just finished.
And then the
show,
the wealthy guy who thinks Poldark is like below him and like
right, but he's also would be coming nice up from. Yes. Oh, what is his name? George.
Yes.
Warlegan.
Or when like
George Warlegan. Yep.
When he's talking to the George's, if people don't know, George is an awful, awful character, and he's so mean to Poldark and his family. Mean. But when the grandma or like aunt is in the room with
George,
like an elderly woman. This is taking time in like the Revolutionary War, so it's like really long, like a long time ago. But when he's like, I hope you die, or I hope you die quickly, or something like that to himself. And he's like, what? What did you say? And he's like, like, oh man, that's who he's giving to me. Like, he's so mean and like cunning and like all that stuff. But then he's like, has like what do you mean? I could never be this way. I'm a distinguished gentleman. Like like you are below me. You are a low man, as they would say.
But it's also fitting because in the show, he's the grandson of like a blacksmith. He's not highborn. So that actually really, really fits well. And it's, I mean, if you haven't watched Poldark,
George thinks he's better than everyone else. And so.
And just to like tie it back into Tolkien, Aidan Turner, Poldark, the guy who plays Poldark, is Keeley in the Hobbit movies. So all you Keeley fans out there, watch Poldark. You will fall further in love with that man. So it's actually, so if you have watched the show, it's actually very, very applicable here. So that's how he would treat Turin in front of people. But if they were alone, quote, he spoke haughtily to him and showed plain his contempt, and Turin grew weary of him, though for long he returned ill words with silence. For Cyros was great among the people of Doriath and a counselor of the king, but the silence of Turin displeased Cyros as much as his words.
So he just didn't like him just because of no real concrete
being a
reason.
Man like, being treated so highly by the king when maybe he had to work for it, like who knows. But was very rude to Turin in private, and then all Turin would do is just kind of ignore it. But that seemed to piss Cyros off more.
He's a bully.
He's a bully. So back to Turin. We're going back to where he was getting dinner.
I don't want to talk about this bully anymore.
We're going to get even more into the bully.
No.
Yeah. So Turin is going to the hall for dinner. And who knows how long it had been since he had been back to Menegroth. Needless to say, even if he did somehow know, it does say that Turin, quote, went to his seat without heed, for he was wayworn or like tired or distracted and filled with thought.
So he just robotically got food and sat down where he normally sits down.
No, he didn't have a normal seat because he hadn't been there in forever. So he just took the first seat that he saw. So...
oh no, did he take his spot?
Oh, he took his spot. Because guess whose usual spot he sat in? Yes, Cyros is also Sheldon, because he has his spot. And Cyros just happened to be late that day, but by the time he does come in, he immediately sees Turin, the man he already doesn't like, but also he's sitting in my spot.
Oh no. Oh no.
And of course, Cyros being the self-important elf that he thinks it is, it's all about Cyros. Turin must have sat on his spot on purpose.
Oh yeah. No. It was malicious intent, of course.
Of course. Quote, in pride and with intent to affront him. And this, that Turin had taken his spot in pride and with intent to affront him. Sorry. And his anger was not lessened to find that Turin was not rebuked by those that sat there, but welcome among them. Why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't any of you tell him? That is my spot. You all know that is my spot. And you just welcomed and let him sit there? What the heck?
Uh-oh.
But, Cyros is very angry, but he keeps it inside for the moment. He's got to put on a show. He puts on a show of joining in with the rest of the group, welcoming Turin, and acts excited to hear what he's been up to. And he says to him, quote, seldom does the marsh warden favor us with company, and I gladly yield my accustomed seat for the chance of speech with him.
I can see the fake smile on his face right now.
Right? And I can just see the other elves saying, dude, there's no assigned seating, Cyros. You're the only one who insists on sitting in the same spot every time. You're honestly a little weird about it. You keep trying to make these charts of seating arrangements. No one does that. We just sit where we want, dude.
It's the cool table.
Yes, but they don't say that.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
So Cyros continues to talk to Turin, and he says, quote, he is, quote, questioning him concerning the news from the borders and his deeds in the wilds. But though his words seemed fair, the mockery in his voice could not be mistaken.
I can hear it in my brain.
Mm-hmm. So, are you really busy there out in the wild? Are you slaying a lot of orcs out there? You big, strong man out there. So tough, yeah. And Turin, he's just so tired. He's fed up with this. And this talk, of course, he just internalizes it. This is such a Turin thing to do. This feeling of, he doesn't feel attacked necessarily by Cyros with this. It's just making him feel even more like an outsider. Quote, for all the light and laughter of the elven halls, his thought turned to Beleg and their life in the woods, and thence far away to Morwen and Dor-lomin in the house of his father. And he frowned because of the darkness of his thoughts and made no answer to Cyros.
That's sad.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's such a Turin thing, though, that he's not really paying attention to these things with Cyros. He just kind of feels this negative energy, and he's like, I wish I was out with Beleg or out with my mom. My mom's probably dead for all I know. He just says the negative tailspin anthem of all people. But apparently, even though the frown had nothing to do really with Cyros. Cyros sees this frown and just loses it. Somehow he thinks this frown is aimed at him. I don't understand how, but Cyros thinks that everything is about him.
You
quote,
aimed that
Cyros
frown
restrained
at me, sir.
Cyros restrained his anger no longer. And then the glove comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where things get real, though. Quote, Cyros restrained his anger no longer, and he took out a golden comb and cast it upon the board before Turin.
And then all the other elves are like, oh no.
Oh no. Okay, so I have so many questions.
A comb?
Do elves have pockets? Is this a thing? Do elves always have pockets? Do they often keep golden combs in them?
Sleeve pockets where their sleeves are so long that they have, or so wide that they can like pull things out of their sleeves.
But like a golden comb? That does not sound.
You think it's a weapon, and then they're like, it's a comb.
I literally, did like for 1 second, everyone at the table freeze or gasp thinking he was going to pull out a weapon and then sigh with relief seeing it was just a comb.
Yeah. But I can see them being like, what if it's like a sign of like, I think you're, no, like pulling out a comb and being like, this is a sign, like in their community of like, we think you're gross. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a common thing of like, he pulled out the comb.
Not the
shame. The shame.
Yeah, dude, I heard Turin was combed yesterday. Rough, man. Rough. But then, the gasping and the facial expressions I wish I could see on the other people at the table when Cyros delivers this line. Quote, Doubtless, man of Hithlum, you came in haste to this table, and may be excused your ragged cloak, but you have no need to leave your head untended as a thicket of brambles, and perhaps if your ears were uncovered, you would hear better what is said to you.
This is giving Mean Girls, like, lunch table vibes so hard right now, and I'm living for it.
Okay, so I feel like tone is a very important thing here because in my head, reading this as Cyros, it's very haughty and sarcastic, kind of like a Lucius Malfoy or, a George Warlegan. But then I also feel like you could read this in a motherly voice and it wouldn't sound so rude. And in fact, it'd be like almost caring and like considerate, like, doubtless, man of Hithlum, you came here in haste to this table. We'll excuse your ragged cloak, but you had no need to leave your head untended as a thicket of brambles. Perhaps if your ears were uncovered, young man, you would hear better what is said to you.
He's like just starting to comb it, like, and he's like, get off, Mom, stop.
So I couldn't help but imagine that. Like, tone is so important. So, what is Turin going to do? Does he have a quick, snappy reply? Does he ignore him again? What is he going to do? What do you think he's going to do?
Well, he's always hasty of like jumping into action.
Right.
So maybe he grabs the comb and threatens him back with it. I'll comb your hair.
Oh my gosh.
With comb.
I could just be like, that's not what your mother said last night or something like that.
Yeah.
You make my mother mad at
like him threatening him. Yeah. Or taking the comb and slamming it in the table. So it's like scary.
Scary. Okay. Well, Turin actually does nothing. Quote, Turin said nothing, but turned his eyes upon Cyros, and there was a glint in their darkness. Beware the glint.
He's glaring.
Yes. But also, I would pay to see this glint in Turin's eyes.
Scary.
So scary. Quote, but Cyros did not heed the warning, and returned the gaze with scorn, saying for all to hear, if the men of Hithlum are so wild and fell, of what sort are the women of that land? Do they run like deer, clad only in their hair?
Oh.
So he brought moms into this, not Turin.
Whoa.
So, but also I don't quite get the jump. Like, Turin's hair being messy somehow equals that women run around naked. Like, I don't see that.
Just the overall cleanliness and hygiene is just nothing.
Yeah, I just don't see that jump there. But okay, bad move, Cyrus, for you, though, because you do not talk smack about his mother and sister. Quote, then Turin took up a drinking vessel and cast it in Cyrus's face, and he fell backward with great hurt. And Turin drew his sword and would have run at him, but Moblung, the hunter, who sat at his side, restrained him.
He threw, I knew he like threw a drinking vessel, like threw it at him, but I really want him to like
splash it in his face.
Real Housewives. Like, how dare you?
Yeah. But also, first mention of Moblung. And this is no nickname of Butterfingers here. He's just known as Moblung the Hunter.
Moblung.
So the relationship between Turin and Moblung is a bit vague here, but they seem friendly enough. And like later, they're going to, have more words to each other and he's, holding him back. If Moblung was the hunter, did he interact with Turin a lot in the wild? I wonder. Like, it just doesn't. I want more of that friendship. I want more detail.
Acquaintance, friendship. I see.
Yeah. So Cyrus gets off the floor, spits some blood on the table, and speaks from a broken mouth, like maybe a broken jaw or some teeth were loose or something. And he says, quote, how long shall we harbor this woodwose? So first use of the term woodwose, apparently it means like wild man of the woods.
Oh, yeah. A crazy man from the woods.
Yeah. Interesting, like, that they had to come up with a name for that, though. And woodwose. Interesting. So, how long shall we harbor this woodwose? Who rules here tonight? The king's law is heavy upon those who hurt his lieges in the hall. And for those who draw blades, their outlawry is the least doom. Outside the hall, I could answer you, woodwose.
Let's take this outside. Yeah. Let's take this outside, man.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. But also, I can't say woodwose in like a threatening way because for some reason it sounds like I'm like I have a speech impediment or something.
You have a speech impediment.
The woodwose. Yeah. The woodwose are coming. But basically Cyrus is saying, like, how long does this uncivilized, dirty, gross man have to live here? Because if the king were here, he would not be happy to hear that you hit someone as important and as noble as me. And to even draw your sword at the dinner table? That's against the law, sir. So I couldn't even fight you here if I wanted to. But if you want to take this outside, I'm down. Basically what he said.
Do you know who my father is?
My father will hear about it.
Yeah.
Quote, but when Turin saw the blood upon the table, his mood became cold, and releasing himself from Moblung's grasp, he left the hall without a word.
Did he get to finish his dinner?
No.
Oh,
no finishing dinner.
Oh, man.
And you know that boy be hungry.
Yes. I would have taken the comb. I would have just stolen it.
Yeah.
It's mine now.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually where I'm going to leave you today.
Oh. In the middle of bullies. Mm-hmm. It felt very high school. I felt very like Mean Girls, lunchroom, bully, high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess those things don't change. The world hasn't changed.
Nope. Man. It's so funny to see the perception of elves from Lord of the Rings and Hobbit to the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales is just funny to me.
Well, we kind of see in The Hobbit that like Thranduil is like not the nicest dude.
But he's still very regal. I don't know. Yeah, Thranduil. I always forget about Thranduil.
I've been rewatching the Rings of Power, the old first season, so I can watch the new season and have refresh brain because it's been 2 years since this came out. And I like seeing elves like more normal and not so like ethereal. Like the watch elves that are over like the human towns are like they talk normal, they're like buddies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that they're showing them like
more
their day-to-day lives of just being normal. And so I guess in the mix of all these elves, you would have a high school bully that is rude.
So rude.
I love his, like, I gotta say, though, it makes me laugh so much of like, brush your hair, you gross guy.
We're both.
Here is a comb. And then everyone's like, ooh, he brought out a comb.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. I want a gold comb.
I know. Anyway. I really want a picture of the gold comb so bad because I have so many different versions. Is it like the really big like
tooth comb, like a wet brush comb?
Yes. Or is it like the tiny one with like a switchblade comb? You know, so many ideas in my head. No, that's how he brought it out. He brought it out and it looked like a knife, and then he opened it up, switchblade comb. Then he threw it on the table.
It has a sheath, like a sword. It has a sheath and a hilt, like a sword, and then he pulls it out and it's a comb.
Yes.
I could see elves doing that, though.
Right?
That's what makes me laugh.
That's the secret to their magic flowing locks, gold combs. Well, thank you for joining us on our epic journey through Middle-earth and Beleriand. Follow us at Sisters of the Shire Podcast on Instagram for lots of fun posts and art and memes and all the fun stuff. Big shout out to our patrons, Dan, our dwarf friend of the Shire, Krishane and Tom, our elf friends of the Shire. You guys rock. We very much appreciate your support every month. It really helps us out. If you want to join our fellowship, visit patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire Podcast. For $3 a month, you become an elf friend of the Shire, $7, a dwarf friend of the Shire, and for $9 a month, you can stand with our men and women friends of the Shire. Your support keeps our tales alive. We could do this. But if you're enjoying our adventures but can't quite join the Patreon, we get it. You can just leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us find other like-minded elf friends and dwarf friends and
fans
across Middle-earth. Yeah.
And share us with your friends and family.
Yeah. Abigail, our friend from Brazil, has broken all of the records. I swear, this is like the fastest climber I've ever seen. Kudos to you, sir. So I forgot what he was before last week, but last week he was 11th, right?
Mm-hmm.
He overtook Israel, Ireland, Sweden, and Norway, and is now number 7 on the country rankings.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
That's amazing.
So good. So cool.
Dude, climbing that ladder.
Yes. And those top 10 were cemented that way for a long time. To be able to break into that, dude, props.
Awesome. Thank you, also, listener from Brazil.
Yes. Also, I didn't think there were any left, Abby. We have a new country.
I mean, there's a lot of countries out there, but
I know. Yeah. So we are up to 71 different countries.
North Korea. No?
No, not quite. Not quite yet.
Dang it.
One day. Okay. So I will give you a hint about this one because Lizzie and I have been listening and rereading and rewatching. She's on a Harry Potter kick right now. So it is mentioned in Harry Potter. It's not England because obviously we already have England. Victor Crumb.
I know it's like from like more Baltic, like Russia, like over there.
Yes.
Is it Hungary?
We already have that one.
Oh, Serbia.
We've had Serbia for a while.
Oh yeah. Siberia.
We actually don't have a Siberia.
Oh, Victor Crumb. So
yeah, Victor Crumb. Durmstrang.
Why do I want to say like Belarus or something?
No.
Brussels, Belgium, Bavaria, nope. Bulgaria.
There you go. You did it.
Yay!
Bulgaria. So welcome, Bulgaria, new listener. We hope you enjoy our podcast.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening.
That's all I got for you as far as world news, but thank you for everyone who does listen.
Yeah. Well, thank you for teaching me today.
You're welcome. And until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby. And also, don't be bullies. Don't be bullies out there, people.
Bullies.
No bullies. We do not stand with bullies. This is a bully-free zone. Anyway, and I'm Abby, and this has been the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. And we're so happy that you joined us today, and we hope you can join us next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for teaching me a day.
Yay!